So a little bit of music to get us started there. All right, so let's just talk a little bit about bar chords and what are they? So bar, B-A-R, B-A-R-R-E, sometimes capasto. Capasto is short for, or capo is short for capasto. All of those are words used to talk about the bar chord. Okay, and simply put, the bar chord is when you take your finger, usually your first finger, and you lay it across your fret, your fingerboard, and it damps all the strings. Sometimes easier said than done because there's some tension on the strings. And so we have to figure out how to play these bar chords that keep our body relaxed and yet makes the bar come out nice and clear. Okay, so the first thing we should really check about with our bar chords is how is our guitar set up? Okay, so some things will make it easier to play a bar chord than others. For instance, your action. Okay, I don't know if you can see on my guitar. Oops, on my guitar here, but it's my action's pretty low. The action is the distance between the string and the fretboard. Okay, mine's pretty low on purpose. I like that feeling. Some players like a higher action so they can get more energy into the string. So if your guitar has a really high action, it could be very hard to push the bar down, especially higher up on the fretboard. So I like to play with as low action as possible, but no buzzes. So once it starts buzzing, I have to raise the action. And if you have any questions about that, we can talk about that, how you would go about raising or lowering the action. So the other thing that's really helpful are strings. High tension strings will make it harder to bar, right? Because there's more tension on the strings, you have to hold it down a lot harder. Nylon string guitars might feel easier to bar, okay, because the strings are looser. But then again, your neck is a little wider, so you need more strength in your entire finger. So steel strings have their benefits too, for the bars. What I would say is think about the tension of your strings when you're working to get your bar chord better and better. Lighter tension strings will make it easier to bar. The next thing we have to think about is posture. Okay? So here's my bar chord, right? Here's my bar. If I play a bar chord and put my guitar like this, that is not going to work for me. Why? Because my wrist is all crunched up, right? And the only thing I can do is squeeze. Okay? So even if you're playing steel string guitar, even if you're a jazz player or a rock player, get your neck up a little bit. Okay? I was just watching some wonderful videos with my students today at Vandercook in Guitar Ensemble, and we were watching different types of players. We were watching some great jazz players. Necks are up. Okay? You don't see too many jazz players playing complex chord voicings with their guitars like this. Okay? So this is just better for your hand because, as you see, my wrist can come straight down. And then when I play my bar chord, instead of squeezing, when I play a bar chord, I'm thinking about the weight of my arm going down and the guitar coming back towards me. So I'm using my bicep to bring the guitar back a little bit towards me and my shoulder to bring the weight down. Okay? All right, so let's put some of this into practice. What I'd like you to do is take your first finger, put it on the 7th fret. We're going to play right at the 7th fret. We're going to play some bars. And for those of you guys who are showing me what you're doing, that's great. And if anyone would like to show me what you're doing, that's great too. Now I see some familiar faces, and so that's super fun. Okay. Yay. Okay, so put your finger as close to the upper fret as possible. All right. And just try this without too much thought. Chunk and relax. Chunk and relax. Chunk and relax. Okay, so I'm thinking about bringing my weight of my arm down towards the ground and the guitar a little back towards me. All right, how's that sounding? And then relax. So one thing about the bar chord, we don't want to sit on the weight. We want to make sure that we relax. We're in the same spot, but we just relax. Okay, now, honestly, you don't really see players moving their guitars a lot. It's fine to do it at the beginning so you get the feel, all right? It's a big motion. We don't really need that big a motion. But just to show what we're doing, it's a good visual, okay? Look at the strings and how small they are and how big your hand is, right? We don't need that big a motion. But we do need to think about the weight going down and towards. Now, the closer you are to the upper fret, the better. Some people find that they like to roll their finger over a little bit to the left. Okay, so they roll it over a little bit. I don't know, maybe it's that I've been playing bar chords for, a century or so, but I don't seem to have to do that anymore, okay? That it seems strong enough. The danger with that is that you start having your second finger help, and we don't want your second finger to help. Your second finger is going to be busy pretty soon. All right, let's play an exercise. We're going to play...
We have a question.
Oh, yeah.
So James is asking, what is the best tension string for more virtuosic type playing if you were to do a little Paganini, so to speak?
On a steel string or on a nylon string guitar, James?
I'm sorry, nylon string.
Okay.
I'm more of an electric guy that does classical stuff, and I just picked up a new classical guitar, and that's one thing I'm a little inexperienced about, so I was just curious.
So,
like
James,
on electric, you might use thinner strings, so to speak, if you're playing like jazz.
well, so if we're talking about a nylon string guitar, okay, mostly your guitar is going to tell you what tension you can use, okay? I use medium tension on my guitar, even though my guitar is like, my dream instrument, super fancy. I love it. I wouldn't want anything else. Okay? If I put high tension strings on this guitar, nothing's going to happen. Like the bridge is going to be okay. But if I put high tension string on this guitar, which is super resonant, it kind of chokes up. Okay? So for this guitar, nylon strings, like medium tension works great. Light tension's not quite enough. I have had guitars where I've used high tension, and those were guitars that were not so resonant. They needed like a little more pull. They needed more pull to get the soundboard to resonate. So I would say it's not as much about the type of music you're playing on the nylon string guitars. It's about the guitar itself. So I'll just put this out there. A guitar that costs less than, I don't know, $1,000, don't put high tension strings on it. Okay? Just because it might not work. It might pull the bridge off. A guitar that's a historical instrument or an older instrument, don't put high tension strings on it. You might even go for light tension strings. Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm actually I used an Ovation Viper for years. Which is, it's like a $3,500 classical guitar, but it's an Ovation. I know it's among purists. It's not. It's not really accepted, but I just picked up another classical Top Camini, but something more traditional. So I was just curious.
Well, like the Ovation is built up pretty heavily, so it might be fine with heavier tension.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So all depends on how heavy the bracing system is on the inside.
Cool. Thanks. I didn't mean to interrupt. You got
I
appreciated that. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so we're gonna chunk around here. We're gonna play 4 chunks. I'll just use that word on each fret. We're gonna start with the 7th fret, and what I want you to feel is the weight of your arm, the pull of your arm. Your thumb should be, like it's petting a bunny. Okay, that there's no tension on your thumb at all. Okay, it's there, but there's no tension. 4 chunks and relax in between. Ready, go. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, what's your second finger doing? I saw a lot of second fingers behaving themselves. This is not what we want your second finger to do. Your second finger thinks it has to help, but it does not. Your first finger can do this all by itself. Okay? So let's do it one more time and make sure your second finger is just hanging out there all nice and relaxed. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Excellent. All right. It's looking doing good. Any specific questions? Are you getting enough sound? Do you get more sound up higher than on the lower frets? Yeah, the lower frets, usually the action's a little harder, and the strings, well, the frets themselves are bigger. Okay, so that's exercise number 1. Let's go for exercise number 2. Usually we don't play all 6 strings in the bar, right? We play a few of them. The others are nicely held underneath some of our fingers. Okay, so we're going to play this kind of weird exercise. It's definitely about the feel. I'm back on the 7th fret. I have my bar down, okay? And I'm just putting pressure on the 6th string. My other strings are like muted, but I have pressure on the 6th string, and it's coming out pretty nicely. The other guys are muted, okay? Now I'm going to smooth the pressure to the 5th string. So the 6th string is kind of muted still, and hopefully the others are too. I just like move the pressure to the 5th string. Now I'm going to move the pressure, the weight, to the 4th string. The other strings are just kind of hanging out there. Okay, now let's rotate the pressure to the 3rd string, and then the 2nd string, and then the 1st string. Okay, do you have everyone does, have creases on your fingers, right? We all have creases. Okay, depending on what chord you are playing and what string you need to be holding down, you can avoid the crease. And we have to. So you might notice when I do a 6-string bar, I get a crease either on my 3rd or 2nd string. So if I know that I'm playing a bar and I have to get that 3rd string, I make my bar like a little longer. You know, I just go a little further with the bar, okay? Or if I have to get to the 2nd string and I don't need the 5th string, then maybe I do more of a half, like not a half bar, but a bar that's only on 5 strings. So you have to find out where your creases are and then avoid them. It's different for every chord. Okay, so we're always changing our position. It's all about context. Okay, let's do this again, all right? So we'll kind of do it with a little bit of a rhythm. And our idea is that we have pressure and weight, and it goes from the 6th string to the 5th, to the 4th, to the 3rd, to the 1st. Okay? Oh, yes, yes.
Fun. Joyce had a question. She asked, any hints for pain in the wrist?
Oh my. Yes. Yes, Joyce. Let's see. Do I see you, Joyce? Okay. Joyce, show me, if you don't mind, show me what your wrist looks like when you're playing a bar. I'm thinking that's looking pretty good. This is what I look for, okay? If your wrist is in front of the guitar like that, that's a problem. If it's way too far back, that's a problem. But if it's, kind of nice and relaxed going down, that's pretty good. So I'll have to ask you this question. Does it always hurt when you play bar chords?
Okay. I just have a lot of pain in my wrist when I play.
Oh, okay.
Even not bar chords, but what I hear you saying is try to keep this neutral, right? Straight as much as I can.
Right. So even if you're playing on the 6th string, you want to bring, you can see this, here, watch this. So I'm at the 1st string, now I go to the 6th string. So that my thumb moves up instead of this. You don't want to do this ever, but you want to do this. So as much as possible, you want to keep your wrist in line with the guitar or a little bit behind. Like the inside of my wrist is behind my fretboard.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. But that is definitely something to watch. Okay, I just need to talk about this subject because it's super dear to me, but I'm short. I don't know if you can tell, but on Zoom, but I'm really short and my hands are really small. Okay? And I went through a lot of pain guitar playing, and then I learned that I could get a guitar that was smaller. Okay? So if you're having wrist problems, try a 3/4 size guitar and see if that helps. Because it could be just that, your hands don't want to stretch that far, and that's totally fine. So the nylon string comes in 3/4 size and the steel strings. And if you want to know some brands, there are some really good sounding ones too. They're not just all, beginning, but that's a good question. Okay, here we go. For our exercise, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to spend 1, 2, 3. Now to the 5th string. Okay, let me tell you where I am again. I'm on the 7th fret. Okay, we're going to just put pressure on the 6th string, and then we're going to move it to the 5th string. We'll pulse again for 4, and then we'll move to the next string. Ready, and 6. Now move to 5. Move your energy to 5. Move your energy to 4. Move your energy to 3. Oh, that one's not coming out for me. To 2. And to 1. Let's go back to 2. To 3. To 4. To 5. And to 1. All right. Cool. All right, so let's put this into some practice here. I'm looking at our handout, and I just wanna make sure we're all on the same page, literally, about bar chords and E-type bar chords. Okay, if you're not familiar with E-type bar chords, don't worry about it. I just want to make sure that we all have what the materials that we need to play these next couple of songs. Okay. So I'm looking at the E-type bar chords. Here, let me just share so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so you can all see this. So I'm looking right here, okay? And the bar chord that we need is this one, the major one. All right? And when we play our major bar chord, let's just do it at the 5th fret again. 5th fret, I'm barring the 5th fret. And then I play my 3rd finger on the 7th fret, my 4th finger on the 7th fret, and my 2nd finger on the 3rd fret. Okay, so get your fingers there. Don't press yet, just get your fingers there. And just play a couple times. Okay, and then when you're ready, add a little pressure. Now I'm at the 5th fret, so it's gonna sound like an A chord. And then relax, and just experiment, like, how much pressure do I really need? How much pressure do I really need? How much weight do I need in order to get it to sound? Now, if there's one string that's not coming out, that's all right. You might need to adjust your height of your finger a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to start with muted strings, and then I'm going to get a little bit more sound, and then that's it. Wow, that's hardly any. Okay. Cool. So let's play a G chord. So a G chord is our E-type bar chord, but we start on the 3rd fret. Okay, and then we can play F sharp, and then F natural, and then we can slide down again, and we're at E. Yep. Let me just look at my page again. All right. Okay, so let's look at this last line of Donde Está Paco. So this was written by my good friend Carlo Basili. He's a flamenco player. I was playing a concert with him about 3 weeks ago, and he pulled this out, and I'm like, oh, this is great. And I'm thinking about bar chords, and this is perfect. So if we look at the last line, okay, we have... Okay, so let's go through it. We start with our F bar chord, right? And we're just going to strum down. So we play. Okay, play with me. Here we go. And then we slide down to E. And you know what? I'm going to keep my 1st finger free. I'm not going to change my fingering to this E. I'm just going to slide down. Okay, so rest, 2, 3, 4. Okay, the next measure, we have 1 beat of rest, which is nice. We play G, so E-type bar chord on the 3rd fret. Then we play F sharp, same bar chord, 1 fret down. F, 1 more fret down, and we're at E. Okay, let's try it together. 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Rest, E, rest, G, F sharp, F, E. All right, so as I'm sliding my bar chord, My thumb is super low. My thumb stays right here, and it's just sliding like that. I'm just taking like the monorail, okay? Everything stays in position and just slides down. Should feel pretty good. Okay, let's try it again, and then we'll put the whole song in there. Okay, 1, 2, ready, go. Rest, G, E, rest, G, F sharp, F. All right. So since this workshop is about bar chords, don't worry if you're not playing the first part. That's another workshop. We'll talk about arpeggios another time. Okay. But if you want to play along, please do. And then we'll all play the last line together. Okay? Here we go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Get ready. Here we go. F. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Let's do it again. And E, and F, here's my last E, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay, it's looking good. Any questions about that part? Okay, so hopefully your bar chord is feeling pretty good. If there's ever pain, you got to stop. If you ever feel like really shooting pain in your hand, you got to stop. If you're feeling that your fingers are tired, your fingertips are tired, that's fine. Okay, but shooting pain in your wrist or muscles, then we definitely have to stop.
Dr. Goldberg, Jacob said he already feels better about bar chords. So thank you.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. I'm so glad. All right. So we're going to move on a little bit. Okay. Next. Now, sometimes, well, on page 2 of our document, we have the A-type bar chords. And we don't have quite enough time to talk about the theory behind all this. But I'm happy to answer any questions later on that you might have about this. I started with full bar chords because, believe it or not, that's easier. It's easier to just put your finger down and try to get the pressure over all the strings. Now, a lot of guitarists start off, and their first introduction to bar chords is the half bar, usually playing the F chord. All right, now that's totally fine. I understand the reasoning behind it. I just haven't had a lot of success with it. But let's talk about this, okay? So if you're going to play a half bar, and roughly speaking, a half bar is anything less than 6 strings. You know, we're not guitarists. I guess we're not all that exact. I mean, there are some books that say you're playing like 5/6 bar if you're playing just 5 strings. Or, you know, 4/6, but I'm just going to call a half bar anything that's not all 6 strings. So I'm down here. We've got our F chord. Everyone sees that on their document. All right. So our challenge is to get our first finger to play only 2 strings, to hold only 2 strings down. Now, what I'm going to do, does your finger do this? Does your finger do this little bend? Okay. If yours does, then great. If yours doesn't, we'll find something else. But if it does, let's take that advantage of your flexibility. So I'm going to put my first finger right there on the first fret, and it's going to cover strings 1 and 2. And you see, I let it bend. I let it do that. I let it like lock in there. Okay? And then I'm right there. I got those 2 strings down. Then I can put my second finger on the 3rd string, 2nd fret, and my 3rd finger on the 4th string, and I get my F chord. Did you see what happened? I'm not straight on, I'm a little bit on the side. A little bit on the side like that, okay? But I still have that little bend, that little, like, here we are, you know? I tighten the notch there. I shouldn't say tighten, I should say I just kind of got into the groove, okay? Now, if your finger doesn't do that bend, that's okay. Don't worry. Then you can also maybe do a 4-string bar chord, okay? And then you don't need the bend. So a lot of folks think, and I think they're right, that you should bar as far as the lowest note you're playing, okay? So if I'm playing a chord that has the 4th string being held down by a finger, I'm going to have my bar go 4 strings. Okay, that sometimes really helps balance your hand. Here, because I have that nice little flexible joint, I can do the 2-string bar. Okay, so let's say we're going from C to F. That's a super nice change. Okay, so I'm on my C chord. My first finger is right there on the 2nd string. What I'm going to do is let my finger drop into the bar shape, the half bar, and then I put my other fingers where they belong. So C to F is really nice. Now, if your half bar isn't working, no worries. What? Play a full bar. It's even better. You get 6 strings. But sometimes we do want to play half bar. Okay? Let's play A minor to F. Okay, same thing, A minor. My first finger is already there on that 2nd string. I let it stay there. I lift 2 and 3. I put down the bar, just let it bend, my finger bend, and then that's pretty good. Okay, A to F. What's happening with your thumb? On a scale from 1 to 10, how much pressure do you have? Maybe 9? Oh, 7? Okay, 7's okay. Can live with 7. I'm probably at 3. Okay? If you're at 9 or 10, we got some issues. If you're at 9 or 10, try this. Take your thumb and just put it here. Just keep it out there. Can you do that? Can you play the bar chord without your thumb behind the neck? Now, when I do that, my guitar starts to, I'm bringing my guitar much more firmly against my body, but it's possible, right? Okay, so try now. Put your thumb behind the neck and use just a tiny bit of counter pressure. So many times I have students come in and say, "Oh, my hand hurts. I can't play a bar chord." And it's always the same. It's too much squeeze. Okay, we don't want to. Our thumb is a counterweight, not something that helps with the bar. It's just a counterweight. Oh, and just for FYI, my thumb's here. My thumb's not here. My thumb's not there. My thumb's here for the half bar and for the full bar. Okay. Again, that keeps your wrist in a good position.
Dr. Goldberg, we have some questions.
Oh, good. Let's hear them.
The first one was from Joyce. Do you hold your guitar face perpendicular to the floor or at an angle?
Oh, good question. So in my sitting position, okay, my guitar is not like straight up and down. It's a little bit this way. It's a little bit back towards me. Okay, and that is for many reasons. Number one, then the sound goes out that way, and then also it's easier for my right arm to get across. Okay. I mean, it's not this, of course, but it's a little, you're right. It's not directly straight. Okay. So it's a little bit out. So you might have noticed I have this funny little support. And it's really great. I mean, I used to use footstools or guitar straps to help get the guitar in the right place. And I find that this is really nice because I can keep my feet on the floor and still get my guitar up. So it's at a good angle, right? A guitar strap will do the same as a footstool or that device. So that's a good question. So it's not perpendicular straight. It's like, I don't know, just a little off from that. That's a good question. Okay.
The next question we have is it not preferred to angle the index finger on strings 1 and 2 on the F half bar?
Like angle it. Like how much of an angle? Whose question is that? Show me what you want to do. What's that?
This is Brian's question.
Okay. Hey Brian, show me what you want to do. Let me see. I can't see you yet. Brian.
I'll
Oh,
talk and
Brian.
maybe it'll
Hi,
focus
Brian.
me.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Brian.
So
So how do you do it?
I don't know. I've always played an F. I guess I'm collapsing my hand. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm collapsing my hand backwards towards the nut. I've always come in at an angle
Like
for
that.
that F chord. Well, not that bad, but yes. But
Yeah.
my index finger is coming down across the 2 frets, but I'm not perpendicular with the fret.
Well, I find that doing this this collapse thing lets me stay perpendicular so that I can play my C chord or my A chord or my E chord. Then I go right to the F. I don't have to like adjust.
Yeah.
So and I also have to say having smaller fingers, I never want to do this because then my reach is so much diminished.
Okay.
So I try to stay as perpendicular as possible.
I think that's an artifact of self-taughtedness.
Mm-hmm.
Once you had us going to the A minor to F, it almost corrected itself. I'm like, oh,
Good.
that's how it's supposed to be. I know it's silly, but when you point it out, it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool.
So anyway,
Good.
thank you.
Excellent. We're gonna play some John Legend. Well, don't worry, I'm not gonna sing, I promise. Okay, so our chord progression is A minor for 2 beats, F for 2 beats, well, F for 1.5 beats, C for an 1/8 note, and then the rest of the measure. So if we just it's on our worksheet, just says chord progression. So if we just want to feel the rhythm, it's A to F to C 2 3 4. If you can play with me, A minor, F C 2 3 4, A F C 2 3 4, A F C 2 3 4, F C. Okay, now if you want, let's add a little more of a strumming pattern. So we can go 1 2. So it's down, 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 up, down. 1 2 3 4 and 1 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 2 3 4 and. So if you'd like to add the full F chord, that's totally fine, right? You could play. That even gives you a little more bass there. So whichever is easier, really. So All of Me, right? All of Me by John Legend. That's what we've got right there. Cool. Let's try it one more time. Or a few more times. 1 2. Oh, watch the pressure in your thumb. Okay? Just watch it. If it starts getting tense, see if while you're playing you can just relax it a bit. 1 2 3 4. So sometimes in music, other than the F chord, we can also use the half bar. All right. So one of my favorite pieces to play and to work with students on is the Brouwer Etude Simplace. Etude Simplace by Leo Brouwer. So here, let me just give you a snippet here. And notice when I'm using the half bar, okay? Oh, let's see. Maybe I need to go like this. Okay, here we go. So notice how many times the half bar comes in. there's this one section here. And I have that written out on our worksheet here. I've written it in tab and notation because it's just not sure where y'all are and what you're more comfortable reading. But if you look here, you can see that that we have the bar. So that B2, interesting. Here, let me share the screen here. So B2 right here, right? So sometimes you'll have a bar notated in the music if the editor is extremely, kind. They'll say B2, the 2 is the fret. Okay? The Roman numeral is the fret. B bar, okay? It might say C for capasto, okay? And in this case, it could have said half B because it's a half bar, okay? And the tab, we don't really know it's a bar, but we do know that we have 2 notes on the same fret, okay? So, slow motion here. I'm going to play my 6th string. And there I've got my bar. My half bar. I certainly don't want to play a whole bar because I want my low E to keep on ringing. So I have to play my half bar. And I don't want my bar to go any more than 4 strings because I need to get my open A. Now I take my bar off and I put it back on. Yeah, so take a couple moments to experiment with that. Just kind of, I think you all have this, so I'll stop sharing this. I can kind of look around, look at some hands here. Yeah. Cool. And you're doing a great job keeping your second finger free, right? We don't want this. Careful, don't let your second finger help you out. Mm-hmm. Cool. So try going for 3 strings. I say 3 strings, but again, my focus is just on the 3rd and the 2nd string. So I'm not sure that my bar is over the 1st string, but I'm focusing my energy on the 3rd and the 2nd. Just like we talked about previously, about the idea that you can modulate where the pressure goes on your finger. Yeah. Looking good. So there are many situations where you'd want to do a half bar instead of a whole bar. Okay. Let's take a second. We worked on the E type bar chord. Let's just take a second to look at the A type bar chord because we have a couple minutes, and that's a hard one here. So on your handout, if we're back to the first page, actually, the first page. I'm sorry, it's the top of the 2nd page, and we have our A type handout, and our A type bar chord. Let me share this for you. Okay, so I am looking at this one right here, this major, okay, chord. And we call it the A-type bar chord because it looks like an A major chord. It is an A major chord that we just transpose up the neck. In this chord chart, it's kind of weird. They're suggesting that you play your bar and that you let your 3rd finger bar again. Okay, maybe if my hands were a lot bigger, but they're not. So if you can do this, great. I cannot. So there's an answer. I'm going to put my 2nd finger here on the 4th string, my 3rd finger on the 3rd string, and my 4th finger on the 2nd string. Now, the difficulty is I have to skip a fret and bar a fret away from where my fingers are. So, for ease of this, let's go up to the 5th fret again because it's easier to play higher. Okay, so back up to the 5th fret. I'm barring the 5th fret. I only need to bar 5 strings. Is that easier for you? Then do it. If it's harder, then go for 6. Okay, doesn't matter. 2, 3, 4, if you're playing like I'm playing, are in the 7th fret, and my first finger is on the 5th fret with the bar. Okay, what do you get? So chunk a little bit. So Joyce, I can see that, yeah, you need a space between your fingers and your first finger. You need a fret between your bar and your fingers. Yeah. Yeah, Beth, if you can, maybe if you're having a hard time making that space, then go up higher. Maybe go to the 7th fret. Okay, so you can get that space. Yeah, okay. Great. Now when you play one string at a time, oh, did you get all of them to sound? I did not. I missed my first string there. So I'm going to bring my bar down. So I'm only playing 5 strings with my bar. That way, I just adjusted my finger so I didn't hit my wrinkly crease here from my knuckle. All right, so, and that's how I should play my 5-string bar chord. Okay, if you're ready, let's chunk. Okay, we're gonna do 4 chords on each fret. I'm starting at the 7th fret. Ready, and 1. And then move down. And move down, we're at 5. Be sure to relax in between. 4, 3, 2, and 1. And now I might just play a regular old A major chord. Okay? Definitely a harder bar chord than the ones based on the E chord. Yeah? Right, let me ask you if you guys have any questions. Oh, that's a good question, Jacob. I see. How do you maintain pressure on all strings like in the bar chords from the Villalobos etude number? Etude or prelude? The etude? This one? Or that one that we're talking about? Jacob, I lost you. Because that one doesn't have a lot of... Oh, this... Well... Oh, this right here. Okay, so this is a really famous etude by Villalobos where you play... And you think it's about your right hand. You think that etude's about your right hand, but about midway through, he throws in this A minor. And then... I missed one, didn't I? I missed a chord in there, but I'll have to rememorize that. But that's what we're talking about. So the way I do that is, just like we talked about, I'm pulling down. I'm really pulling down. And also, I don't know if you can see, but my shoulder's going down. So if I bring my shoulder down, I have much more strength. So I'm off playing this etude, right? Everything's going fine. Still going fine. Big stretch. And now... So I would have to say that it's the pressure downward. Does that make sense? So that helps me keep the pressure on all the strings. I mean, honestly, here it's a 6-string bar. Okay? I've learned that this is about the shape of my bar finger, that I don't need this and I don't want that. That's about where it needs to go. And I just use the weight of my arm, the weight of gravity, and a little dip in my shoulder to keep it down. Also, I'm not going to sit on that chord for too long, right? It's 2 measures. It's 2 measures of that. 32 notes, right? So that's it. Okay, and then I move on and I relax to the next. So I hope that answered that question.
There's another question from Brian. Do you see that, Dr. Goldberg?
An A major bar chord, 3, 2, 4. 3. Oh, we were just talking about this in Guitar Tech today, Evander Cook. Okay, that sometimes, you know, you might finger the A major chord like this, 2, 1, 3. Okay, which then would translate to this bar chord being the bar and then 3, 2, 4. Okay, no, that is too hard. That is just too hard. That's just too hard. No, no. The reason to play 2, 1, 3 is so that you can like make a nice chord change to E major, maybe, okay, or to D. But the bar chord won't change nicely to any chord. So, you know, if you're going to change from this A type bar chord then to D type bar chord, you still have to move your fingers. So definitely not. That's a good question. That's
Actually,
gonna be like a nightmare for me now.
somebody asked too, what was the name of the piece that you played at the beginning?
Oh, Prelude number 1. Prelude number 1 by Hater Villalobos. We've had a lot of Villalobos today. So that's the middle section of the Prelude number 1 by Villalobos.
Okay, if we don't have any more questions, can we all give Dr. Goldberg a round of applause? That was wonderful.
Thank you guys, and thanks for playing. It's great to see you guys.